going to start the preview with the first race, the one that normally contains the famous Cheltenham Roar, and the scene of some really fantastic horses winning there. Duvan, Altior, Vator, Classical Dream in 2019 with Ruby springs to mind. Shishkin obviously has gone on to bigger and better things, winning it last year. Who do you fancy, Brian? Just looking at it, and what kind of sparks the memories with the Supreme Novices?
Yeah, well, I suppose you mentioned there Shishkin obviously was going to go for the Arkle, and you thought like William Mullins, like you can't really deny his dominance in this race. Like, I mean, in the last 8 years, he's had 4 winners in 3 seconds, and I just think that when you're looking at the market, that's in it for this year. I mean, there's not too many things that stand out other than probably Appreciated. I just think that his form over Christmas, his domination performance at Leopardstown in December was an absolute romp. He might have only, the gap might have been cut to maybe 3.5 lengths at the Dublin Racing Festival, but still, I still think it's probably the most solid piece of form in the race. I think Grade 1 novice winners in this race who have ran in, say, in previous Grade 1s before they went to the Supreme have a good record in it. Just like the last couple of winners, like I think it was something like 6 of the last 7 winners have run in a graded hurdle before they went to this race, and the only exception to that was Shishkin last year. He only ran to a listed hurdle at Huntington. So I just think that when you look at it, like, fair enough, Metier was very impressive, and when he won the Tallworth at Sandown in December, and he actually won, or in January, he actually won a race in the flat for Andrew Slattery last year down at Gorham. But I don't know, there's not too much depth in this race. I just think that his second behind Fernie Hollow in last year's champion bumper will probably play a lot to the strengths of him. And to be honest, there's not too much else that stands out in this race when it comes to it. I just think at 11-8, he's probably a solid favourite in regard to back up another Mullins hot pot in the first.
Yeah, and probably there's other options there in Ballyadam who Appreciate beat. Dan, do you agree with Brian there? Is it the banker, one of the bankers of the week at 6-4 or 11-8?
Well, yeah, see, I went into this race, looking at this race the other day, kind of with the view that Appreciate was a little bit short. I wasn't too impressed on first viewing of that run in the Dublin Racing Festival off the back of Ballyadam getting a lot closer. But the more I look into it, like Gordon's horses weren't firing at Christmas, so you could excuse Ballyadam's run. So Ballyadam run there, DRF, is more or less what he's capable of. And the fact Appreciate kind of put it to bed pretty easily. I know it was 3.5 lengths, but it was kind of pretty easy, and you don't have to worry about that Cheltenham form after the back of his bumper run last year. You know, like I know he was beaten in the end, but it was a really solid bumper, and it's kind of working out well at the moment. So yeah, like Metier, like there's not much substance to his form. You know, he's won a lot of races, but again, I don't think the English novice 2 miles are very good this year. Novice hurdlers, 2 milers. And then like it's like who can beat Appreciated. So you've got Ballyadam, who he's beaten twice. Now again, you can excuse the Christmas run, but by 3.5 lengths is 8-1. You join second favourite with Metier essentially. Kilcruss listed on my odds checker list here. I don't know how that's happened. He's running the bumper, and then you've got like you're into your 20-1 then bar. So like I've gone from a position of thinking Appreciated it was too short to a position that he's probably too big, and he could very easily go off very close to even money, even odds on, because like you look at who's going to line up here, and it's going to be horses that he's beaten. So Ballyadam, as I mentioned, Blue Lord, 20-1. If anyone is looking for each way alternatives, I'd possibly wait for the day, because, well, hopefully we do still get a big field, because William Hill are usually paying 7 places, or someone who's going to go ridiculous in terms of places. So if you wanted an each way angle to the race, maybe Blue Lord, because sometimes when we have a really good solid favourite, people don't appreciate the excuse the pun, the horses that finish in behind him. Like, for example, Blue Lord here is 6 lengths off Appreciated now in February. So if he's 6 lengths behind him in the Supreme, he's probably going to run into a place. So Blue Lord around the 20-1 mark is probably an each way alternative. But again, if you want to keep it simple, I think, yeah, like the more I look at Appreciated is a good solid favourite here. Like my one concern going in was the Steering for Launch won the same race last year. And he was like seen as a stayer, and I know Appreciate is kind of in some quarters seen as a stayer, and it turned out Steering for Launch didn't have the gears for the Supreme. Now there was other factors as well, the fact he's a bit of a clown as well, but I think Appreciate yeah, exactly. But I think Appreciate is a more solid favourite. It's got more substance to his form, and yeah, so if you want to kind of look into this race, that Chanel Farmer Novice Hurdle back in February is where to go, and so I Appreciate it for me. I know it's boring, but yeah, I think that'll get punters off to a winning start anyway.
One horse that kind of stood out to me, the Devil's Coachman, Brian. 16-1 for Noel Mead. And Mark Walsh has been riding him recently. Has won twice recently, I think, since the end of January. Have you seen much of him? And is it, like, as Dan says, probably looking for someone with a bit of value there for a place?
Yeah, the interesting thing about Devil's Coachman is the fact that he won at Navan, and I think I think running at Navan is if you're thinking about sending a horse to Cheltenham, if there's one track in Ireland that you want to run him up for, and you have to run him at Navan because it's in my opinion, it's probably the best galloping track in the country, and it's a disgrace that there's no actual Grade 1 race around it. They took it over a couple of years ago, and I think that it's the best uphill finish. It's a stiff track. It's a proper horses run there, and I think that would probably play a lot to his strengths, that he can get up the hill. But there's not too much depth to his form. I mean, like he won. I suppose he did win a listed novice hurdle there, but like he beat French Light, who went out after that down to Clonmel, I think it was, or he beat French Light, sorry, at Punchestown. You go back to his Navan form, you bet Visionary, and he hasn't ran since. And so it's hard to really kind of delve as to where exactly he stands. But I won't even lie in saying that I actually have a bet in this race at 33-1. I did it a few weeks ago, and I don't think it'll win, but I backed the Real Deal. I couldn't not go without backing it after how progressive he's been over the last 2 months. Like, he's gone from being rated 106 to now been rated 150 odd. I think he is now. He's won three hurdle races on the bounce. He's actually 6 on the bounce in total between flat and hurdles form. He was given absolutely zero chance in the Sky Bet Moscow Flyer last month, which is a race that Duvan won before he went to the Supreme. It's a race that Min won before he went to the Supreme. I know he was second, so like it delves quite good form. And like, I mean, he was 22-1, won by 3 lengths, stays all day. He came flying up the outside under Dennis O'Regan. He'll probably ride him again, but I'm not saying now that he'll win. But I mean, at an each way value, you're probably looking at either Blue Lord or him. They're probably the only 2 horses in the race that have decent form under their belt. The Blue Lord was second in the Grade 1 behind Bob Ollinger at Naas, which is another good uphill finish, good track, good Cheltenham preparation venue to go to. So I think that they're probably your 2 only really alternatives in this, because it's hard to see anything else. If it depends if the Devil's Coachman gets in or not. He's not in at the moment. If he gets in, then you could look at it then and say, yeah, he might have a squeak each way, but you're left with very limited options here.
So hopefully it's a winning start for Paul Townend and Willie Mullen in the Supreme Novices. Despite 11-8, it seems to be the one.